day to each and everyone, especially to you, sir. Here is my report about Aristotle. Aristotle, it is a great philosopher and polymath during the classical period in ancient Greece. So Aristotle, one of the greatest philosophers who ever lived and the first genuine scientist in history. He made pioneering contribution all fields of philosophy and science. He invented the field of formal logic and he identified the various scientific disciplines and explored their relationship to each other. Next, Aristotle virtue. So, Aristotle defines moral virtue as a disposition to behave in the right manner and as a mean between extremes of deficiency and excess, which are vices. We learn moral virtue primarily through habit and practice rather than through reasoning and instruction. So, virtue makes the goal right, practical, wisdom, the things leading to it. So, the contribution of Aristotle to ethics. So, Aristotle emphasized that virtue is practical and that the purpose of ethics is to become a good, not merely to know. Aristotle also claims that the right course of action depends upon the details of a particular situation rather than being generated merely by applying law. Next, Aristotle contribute to evolution. So, Aristotle's zoology and the classification of species was his greatest contribution to the history of biology. The first known attempt to classify animals into groups according to their behavior and most importantly by the similarities and differences between their physiologies. Next is Aristotle teach in his school. He taught his students subjects such as logic, physics, public speaking, politics, and philosophy. At this point in this career, Aristotle began to study logic and the process of thinking. Here are some of Aristotle's most famous ideas. Syllogism or syllogism is a type of reasoning. The contribution of Aristotle in politics. So, Aristotle, one of the great discipline of Plato, has been hailed as father of political science. His ideas on politics, vice and social nature of man, role of law, revolution, citizenship, and constitutionalism have remained a matter of considerable significance to political scientists. Next is Aristotle's impact of society. Aristotle's greatest impact can be seen in his creation of the logic system. Established many fields of sciences and creation of philosophy system which serves as one of the foundation works of philosophy even to this day. Aristotle was the first person to create a widely disseminate a system of logical thought. So, Aristotle also is influenced us today. Why? Because Aristotle has a created basis of a great deal of today's scientific knowledge, such as classification of organisms and objects. Next, Aristotle's philosophy. So, in his metaphysics, he claims that there must be a separate and uncharging being that is the source of all other beings. In his ethics, he holds that it is only by becoming excellent that one could achieve eudaimonia, a sort of happiness or blessedness that constitutes the best kind of human life. Next, the best virtue of Aristotle. So, what is virtue? Virtue is a state of character concerned with choice lying in a man. There are two kinds of virtue. Number one is a moral virtue. Number two is intellectual virtue. The best virtue of Aristotle. The best virtue of Aristotle is prudence, also known as practical wisdom, is that most important virtue for Aristotle. So, what is best virtue of Aristotle? So, the most important virtue of Aristotle is known as practical wisdom, which is prudence. In war, soldiers must fight with prudence by making judgments through practical wisdom. This virtue is a most to obtain because courage requires judgment to be made. So Aristotle says to be really good without wisdom, or to be really wise without moral virtue, only when correct reasoning and right desire come together, thus truly virtuous actions result, virtuous action then is always the result of successful practical reasoning. So next, last but not the least, my question is, why moral virtue is a good action of Aristotle? Why? Because what the person is good character, loves with right desire, and thinks of as an end with right reason must first be reserved as beautiful. That's why Aristotle is what? It is a best philosopher in terms of what? In terms of philosophy. That's all, and thank you.